The Clash of the Coliseum has one big problem. Now, I just released a video praising the new format for the Clash this year versus last year's. I think the changes are positive, and this is not to negate any of that positivity. However, it wasn't until I was scrolling through Twitter after I posted that video that I saw this tweet from Bob Pockrass saying that there is no public access to the track on Saturday. This means that the fans will not be able to access live and in person the heat races, practice, and or qualifying for the NASCAR Cup Series or the NASCAR Mexico Series respectively. So why is this the case? I have no clue. I have sent out emails. I am trying to figure this out as much as you are. But there has to be a good reason as to why. Whether it's monetary, they didn't see the value in having a whole separate day for fans to be able to go to the track for practice and qualifying. Because let's be real, when you get a race ticket for a NASCAR race weekend, whether it be Charlotte, Kansas, Pocono, whatever it is, your ticket for race day also allows you to get into practice and qualifying. And when you look around, if you're there at practice and qualifying, the seats are pretty empty. So the monetary cost of upkeeping that facility for an extra day for fans that are going to be there when it's usually going to be sparse for practice and qualifying doesn't totally make sense. So I could see that being a good reason. Like I said, it could be for a private event. It could also be for like TV promotions, things like that. But let's be real, you should have planned an extra day of production. I know that's a little bit more costly. I'm just shooting out reasons as to why I think fans don't have access. I don't know the actual reason, but those are my guesses. And I think having fans not experience those heat races in person is a major loss. In the past, fans had the ability to buy tickets to the Saturday events. This year, they don't. And when fans went to buy their tickets this year, their only option was Sunday. So right off the bat, there should have been an indication that only Sunday's events were going to be offered to the public. But it's still nice to make that clear at the start. Several of you reached out to me through DMs and said, hey, I went to the Clash last year. I also went this year. My ticket price, though, was the same, even though this year you are getting less races. The only remedy to this that I can see is that you're also going to get a full race on Sunday with the NASCAR Mexico Series. So does the ability to not be able to go to practice and qualifying, does that time kind of distribute evenly when you get an extra race on Sunday? I don't know. I also don't know if that's the reasoning behind this, but I digress. The other big miss for this as well is the exposure that you have by having the track open for an extra day. One, that is extra time that the fans can spend meeting their favorite drivers. And if they don't have a favorite driver, finding a favorite driver if this is their first NASCAR event. Two, it's 2 days of different racing styles. The heats are, in my opinion, a little bit more entertaining than the actual main event themselves. And having a fan see the heats and getting just amped up to see the main event the next day, that's exciting. I don't get why you wouldn't want your fans to see that in person. I think where NASCAR has missed in the past, though, is they didn't really advertise practice and qualifying or the heats as a separate event. They didn't advertise this necessarily as a 2-day or a weekend-long event. It's always been the Clash on Sunday. When you don't advertise those separate events, especially to fans that have never seen NASCAR, heard of NASCAR, etc., of course they're not going to go to practice and qualifying. So advertising those more, I think, would have helped this issue long term. Final thing I have to say is, can this be fixed? Well, there's no public access on Saturday, I am sure, for a very good reason, so I'm sure that there's not the ability for this to be fixed, even if NASCAR wanted it to be. I'm also kind of in this thought process of maybe it's too late to fix it even if they could. We're a little over 2 weeks out from the Clash. And at this point, everybody has their travel plans done. Everyone knows what they're going to be doing on certain days. Sunday is race day. Maybe we're getting into town that day. Maybe we're getting into town the night before, the day before. We already have our plans figured out. So it's a lot to ask your fans who have already had this planned to make changes very close to the event. Granted, it is a little over 2 weeks away. At least it's not like the week before. But this is also something that was kind of made apparent without being made apparent through the tickets that were available for this event. I don't know, the whole thing's confusing. I'm kind of lost as to why these events are going to be public, but as soon as I know and if I can figure out, I will let you all know in the comments below. In the meantime, let me know your thoughts in the comments below and we can have a whole discussion about this.